Yo, this is gonna be so casual.
Testing,
We've done
testing.
this talk every year. We got this shit on lock. You guys are gonna be in for a treat. Please take out your notepads and your pens because we're gonna answer every single question that you've ever thought about when it comes to PR and media. Trust me.
And I'm really excited about this one.
Yes.
You know, I love talking about PR.
Okay, cool. So my name is Pauleanna, and I am widely known for my work as a journalist. I've been a journalist for over 10 years. I've been a senior contributor at Forbes Women for 7, and thank you. And outside of my work in the media, amplifying Black voices and reporting on female leaders who are shaping the future, I also own a celebrity ghostwriting agency. So I ghostwrite books, keynote speeches, and articles for celebrities, athletes, politicians, founders, and executives. Phreshy, my good friend Phreshy, my brother, he is a personal brand that the world loves, and I'd love for you to take a moment to introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, no. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, there we go. So, like my good sis Pollyanna said, I don't even know how I became a personal brand, but most people know me because I am a publicist and I own one of the fastest growing PR firms by African American male. It is called the I Am Phreshy brand. We represent some of today's hottest entertainers, influencers, and some of your favorite brands. Some of our clients and some of our work could be
Talk about it. Go ahead.
could be seen through Jada Cheeves, Saucy Santana, the Crab Queens franchise, Migos, Offset. I've worked with Cardi B. You name it, my presence is probably somewhere in there, and I believe in building brands from the ground up. There's actually a couple of my clients that's speaking this weekend. You have Natalie Nicole Smith, Trishana Him, and I pitched it, the list goes on, but they're here. And so in layman's terms, I pretty much make people or keep people relevant.
Okay, so I want to talk about why did you even decide to get into public relations to begin with, and what does the landscape look like right now? Would you suggest that young professionals consider it as a career path?
Why did I choose PR? I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. And y'all, my mouth is a little dirty sometimes, so if something slip out, listen. This is more of a fireside chat than a classroom, okay? So why did I choose PR? I had no idea what the hell PR was when I got into this business. I've always grown up in the entertainment industry because my father was a bodyguard for Rap-A-Lot Records. My aunts was models. I had NFL players in my family, and so I've kind of always grown up around it, and I've always known that I was different. Of course, outside of being gay, I knew that I was a very lively person, and I enjoyed communicating. And more than communicating, I enjoyed communicating with intention. And so I did a lot of different type of things, from styling to real estate, prior to doing PR. But what I noticed about myself in the midst of doing everything, I've always wanted to be the person behind the scenes, connecting the dots and helping people narrate their story. So my story was based off of the narration I was doing for other people's story. I don't want to talk too long about this story, but fast forward, got into styling, then had to find a way to be able to up what I was being paid and talk about the people that I was styling. So then I became a writer. And then from a writer, I became a brand manager. And then I put all that stuff together one day, and I said, you know what to do? I'm going to be the dot connector. I researched what a dot connector was. I did my research. Someone told me I was a publicist. And you know what? I started introducing myself as a publicist. And the rest is history. And so going to the next phase, do I feel like PR is a good, a career path, and where do I see the state of PR right now? I honestly think PR is a great career path once you understand what exactly PR is. What I've noticed is with the new age of social media, people are confusing PR and marketing. And so I think right now where I see what I'm seeing in 2022, especially after the world's reset, which was COVID-19, people are really learning the importance of PR, and people are learning that I don't care how much money you have, you can't buy relevancy, you can't buy intentions, and you can't buy likeliness. And so with all that being stated, I do see the wave of PR going back, and we do need more publicists in the world.
Love it. When we were in ATL, we had a similar discussion on the stage at a really great event, and I got the chance to meet one of your mentors. How has mentorship helped you excel in your career? And doesn't even matter if you're not in PR, we know that mentorship is important. Talk to me about that relationship and why it's special, and how she also acted as a sponsor for you.
Right. So shout out to Patience Foster.
Are you guys familiar with who Patience Foster is?
King P on Instagram. If not, you guys should definitely go follow her. She was very instrumental on the growth of Cardi and in the growth of Cardi's career at the very beginning, amongst other brands. And so I had never met Patience, but I've always been drawn to her. Social media connected us. And so for me, seeing someone who kind of had a similar story, I watched her story, and so I was following Patience when she was a hairstylist, and she went from being a hairstylist to owning a salon to working backstage at Fashion Week, and so we were always following each other, and I would always encourage her. And so one day, she just DM'd me back, and she was like, hey, I can't make it. I really can't make it to Houston right now. I see you're in Houston. Cardi's going to Houston. If I give you these tasks, can you do it? And so it was then a relationship formed, and that relationship had become so pivotal to the success of my career, because prior to ever really getting a good break, I never knew how to go to the next level. And so she took me under her wing, she referred me to clients, and she really coddled me, and she really gave me the knowledge in which I needed to succeed in this field. I feel like that is very important, because a lot of times, mentorship is very important, because a lot of times we achieve these levels of success, and we kind of forget about the people that are coming after us. We forget to give that knowledge back out. We hold on to it and try to charge these high-ass price tags to give out information, but what if someone didn't give you the information that you needed? Where would you be? And so I'm all about mentorship. I'm all about giving back. I'm all about paying it forward. I'm all about teaching people the right way, because if I'm gonna complain about the wrong way, then at least the least I could do is teach people the right way to do things.
Absolutely. So today we're going to be your mentors, and we are going to answer all of your questions, and we're going to get into the good stuff, okay? So I want to talk about, why is earned media so important, and how can it benefit your career? I think a lot of people have their head down and they do the work, and they don't really, some people don't care about accolades, but the truth is, it puts you in a good position. So talk to us about the benefits of earned media, and then we'll talk strategy. Yeah. King P. Yeah. Make it brief.
I'll touch on this a little later on as we go, because I'm sure that's one of her questions. But hustle. I was hungry. I'm still hungry. I work just as hard today as I did then.
And we'll expand on this conversation when it comes to journalists and what journalists are looking for, but everybody wants to catch you in motion, whether it's a mentor, whether it's an advisor, whether it's a sponsor. Like, do the work even though you may not get the applause. Do the work even though no one likes your post. Like that shit yourself. You know what I mean? So.
Thanks.
Okay, next, let's talk about the benefits of earned media and the positioning, right? Like, people in our audience, head down, do the work. However, at a certain point, you should be thinking about how you're perceived. Amanda Seales talks about your self-worth versus your market value. Your self-worth, I'm sure all of you think you're amazing, right? You are. But your market value, how do your industry peers perceive you, right? What is the if I'm thinking about tennis, the first person that comes to mind is Serena. If someone thinks about your industry, are you in their top 5? And if you're not, then you have work to do. So let's talk about the benefits and positioning.
Yeah, the benefits of earned media. One, you're building trust. Earned media is considered trust. It's a lot different from marketing, because marketing, you can go buy all the shade room ads in the world, but if you didn't buy that ad, no one is talking about you. So you want to pay attention to earned media, and you want to focus on earning media. Having accolades as a entrepreneur in the creative space, in the service industry, is considered your resume. A lot of us obtain jobs based off of someone else working with us. How do we know if someone else is working with us if we are not seeking out if people are not talking about us, or if we're not seeking out the accolades in which we deserve? Now, I say the accolades in which we deserve because a lot of times you have to know exactly what your niche is and what you're good at and what accolades matter and what don't matter. I'm sure you're gonna ask me this later on, so I'll leave it at that. But it's your resume. In all honesty, it's your resume, and you should always want to be focused on building your resume because that is your brand value. That is how people perceive you. That's going to determine what people want to pay you in the future. That's going to determine what type of clientele you're going to get.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about fundamentals, right? Before anyone thinks about sending a pitch, working with a journalist, what are some prerequisites to having earned media? On a basic level, we can talk about creative collateral, and then we can kind of evolve from there.
So from a basic level, just having your brand together.
What does that even look like? What does that mean?
That's having good headshots, having professional headshots. No one wants to receive a photo of someone saying that they deserve a Forbes article and it was shot with your iPhone and you have on a tube top and and a sundress. That's going in my trash can. So having great press photos, it starts there. Having a website. How are you in the top 5% of your market if you don't have a website? How am I going to go find everything that you said that you've done? How am I going to do my fact checks? Making sure that you have a clean and cohesive brand across the board. Do all of your social media handles match? You can't be Big Booty 26 over here and Professional Gemini over here. That doesn't correlate, and I'm never pitching you. What else?
I would say interview skills. So a lot of people pitch me, but when there are times where I've been on the phone interviewing someone and they couldn't properly articulate their story, and it was a really bad experience. Get ready, be ready so you don't have to get ready, right? So if that means working with someone like Phreshy, a publicist, a brand manager, to refine your delivery, how you speak to a journalist, what to say, what not to say, I think that's really critical. I think the other thing is a really great bio, a media kit. And if this article or podcast interview does exceptionally well, do you have the teams and the infrastructure and the systems in place in case you may sell out of the product, in case you may acquire 1,000 clients, right? You want to be very mindful of that too.
I agree 100%. You want to be ready for because the whole thing with PR is getting you ready for the next step and keeping the momentum. So you have to be ready. If that Forbes interview take off, are you ready for that next interview? Are you ready for that next speaking engagement? Do you have the skill set and the mindset to move forward?
Because we've all seen what happens when people go on Oprah's Favorite Things, right? All their shit sells out. The other thing is, I write for Forbes, but I always tell people to make sure that you're a hometown hero before you pitch to any journalist on a global scale. So many people have big egos, it's so annoying. So if your neighbor doesn't know what you do, if no one's talking about you in your hood, in your community, why are you sliding in my inbox, right? I think people pitch to me from an ego-centric place instead of really understand, am I ready to be on a global scale? You know what I mean?
Right.
Have I done the work? Do I have the track record? So that means do not diss or dismiss your local blogs, your local podcasts, your local news stations, no matter how small or big they may be, right?
Right.
Because your clients, you get clients on the cover of Teen Vogue and all the things, but I'm sure they're also doing small to medium scale projects too. And
I'm the king of that. I tell all my clients that if someone comes to me and want to interview you, of course it's going to be parallel to the success of where you are now, but I believe in media and earned media being prerequisites in college. Have you done this before we go here? Do we have some sort of proof? I'm not going to just go and pitch you to Forbes because you've made X amount of dollars. No, they should be talking about this X amount of dollars that you made on the community. Are you giving back to your community? Like she said, does your next door neighbor know you? I can't tell you how many times people come to me wanting certain things that and they're not ready for it. Like music, I always use music PR as one. People want so hard to be in Billboard and don't even have a mixed and mastered song. What we doing? What we doing?
Um, that's a good point. Another thing I want to mention is creating a content library of your own. So like if I'm gonna feature someone, come on in, come on in, come on in, have a seat. You guys missed all the juicy
Welcome.
stuff. Hey, good. What's up? So yeah, you guys threw me off. So yeah, create a content library of your own, right? So if someone's gonna pitch me, I want to talk to the best person who can solve a problem for my audience. How you tell me you're the best person is positioning, is thought leadership, is content, right? I should be able to look at your platforms, your blog, your podcast, whatever the hell, and I should see that, like, you are obsessed, you're ridiculously obsessed with this topic. Like, you are consistently solving the problem. People pitch me and they say, I made X amount of dollars. I literally don't care. That's not a story to me. You're pitching me because you want the logo on your website banner. Don't care about stroking your ego. I want you to solve a problem for my audience. So my question to you is, how important is knowing your audience? Because you recently had 2 big wins on Paper Magazine and Teen Vogue, but you know that your talent speaks to the audience that reads those magazines, right? So like, you can't just be pitching that to any TV network or any podcast or any publication. You gotta know what demographic is actually tapped into those publications, right?
Agree. And it's all about being in the street, and it goes back to what she said earlier about your community. Once you identify what exactly your community is, you can build off of that. And you have to, with PR, I think it's very important that you realize that timing is everything. No one in this industry or no one in these industries cares about your ego. Everyone is vibing to be the next best or the top 10% or the top 5% in there. So focus on building reputable relationships and make sure that those relationships are mutually beneficial. Mm-hmm. So like she said, when pitching to Pauleanna, I know that it's not about the money, it's about what problem could be solved. Like, how would her reader benefit off of that? So in me, I have to go back to my client and say, okay, I get it. You made this, you did that, we've done this, but what is that reader going to be able to take back to the story? So understanding and identifying the angles, and it's very, very, very important to understand an audience. I was just talking about this last night. The Teen Vogue cover came out, and everyone was in the shade room comments. Y'all, I'm going to always reference that because I don't know how that has become our media landscape. Anyways, I go to the shade room comments, and majority of the comments was like, well, why is he on Teen Vogue and he's not a teenager? He has a teen audience. It's I mean, who else is listening to the music? That's why he's on the cover of Teen Vogue. It's no different from 18-year-olds playing 17-year-olds and 17-year-olds playing 21-year-olds. There's an audience for that, and the whole goal of media is to expand your audience. And so, therefore, if my client's audience is Teen Vogue, it's a Teen Vogue audience. That's where we're going to place him at because that's who's predominantly buying the music right now. And so I think it's just like identifying the strengths and the weaknesses of your clientele and figuring out where they're going to excel at and what's going to give them more momentum.
If you're not sure what your demographic is reading or where they live online, you can easily Google publications. So if you go into Google and you type in Fast Company Media Kit, you're gonna get their media kit, which literally shows you who reads their audience. When you're pitching, there needs to be a plan. Are you trying to get the attention of a college student, a mompreneur, an investor, a C-suite executive, right? And then what you do, once you make your wish list and you know who's reading, then you want to figure out what sector or department you want to pitch to. So at Forbes, we have 50 different sectors. We have Forbes Tech, we have Forbes Women, we have Forbes Money, Forbes Travel. You're not going to pitch a fashion article to the Forbes Money or Forbes Travel, right? Like, you want to make sure that you pick and every business publication is this way, right? And so once you figure out who reads what section you're going to pitch to, then you're going to move on to, okay, who do I need to contact? What writers fit the problem that I'm solving? Every single writer has a specific swim lane. At Forbes, I write about female leaders who are shaping the future. Tell me why, I almost said the N-word. Tell me why men always pull up. Like, I don't want to, and honestly, and I do get rude because it's very offensive as a journalist when I've spent my entire career dedicated to a specific swim lane amplifying female voices. When men pull up and they're like, you know, feeling like they deserve an article, right? That means you didn't do your research. And that is an easy way to get your email deleted every single time if you pull up to a journalist and it's very clear that you have not even read a single article that they've done to inform you of how your pitch should be structured, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's disrespectful, honestly.
Yeah.
Not researching and just reaching out to people, it's really disrespectful, and it's a side of entitlement. And a lot of people in our landscape, we don't deal well with entitlement. There's a lot of people, like for me, I give information. I'm constantly giving information. I'm gonna tell you how to spell my name. I'm gonna tell you how to email, how to contact me. And if you blatantly just do what you want to do, and I'm not even, we have nothing to talk about. And if you catch me on the right day, you're gonna get cussed out, and it's gonna make you think about the next time that you approach me. But I feel like as entrepreneurs, and especially entrepreneurs of color, we have to approach situations like that. People don't take us serious because we don't take our brand serious. So we have to take our brand serious. It's for us to keep our foot on their necks, and it's for us to teach people boundaries and how to approach us. That's the only way that you're going to see your brand grow, if you teach people how to approach you and what boundaries to handle you with.
Can you give us an example of maybe a publication or a network that you're trying to approach and how you source the contact?
Yeah, so I think sourcing contacts is a lot easier than what you think. It's all about doing proper research and just and being ready. So for me, I was trying to get VMAs. One year I was trying to get Cardi to perform at the VMAs and on the red carpet, and so I'm just like, shit, I'm not gonna just run into nobody at MTV. I'm in Houston, Texas. That's New York. That's LA. I don't even know where these people are at this time. And I just remember being like, press release. What is a press release? What is a press release? Googled, how do you find contacts? So I end up signing up for MTV's press. I end up signing up for BT's MTV's Press Wire. And so go on there, sign up. I end up getting approved, made up this whole story. Go in there, literally, the contact is in the press release. Email, Cardi was at the brink of success at that point in time, and so it was the easiest thing in the world. Had I not been privy to doing my research before reaching out to someone, not being ready to reach out to that person would have took me in a whole circle just because they knew I didn't know what I was talking about. But because I did my research and I was able to put 1 and 2 together and get 3 led me to
Sometimes
where we
you
at now.
have to be creative.
You have to be creative.
Right? Because, like, yes, you can follow the guidelines on the website. Yes, you could craft a great pitch, but you have to understand journalists get 100 pitches a day, right? So your pitch could get lost. Like, I still got pitches from, like, last year, child. There's so many pitches I still have to go through. So it's best to, number one, network and try and get a cosign, right? Because if someone tells me that, you know, you need to look at Keisha, at least read her email. Like, I'm gonna look. If Phreshy nominates somebody, I'm gonna pay attention. The other thing is leveraging your community. So one time I did a call out on Facebook, and 24 people tagged Jerisha Hawk, okay? And I was like, who is this girl? Like, I didn't hear of her, so I was like, okay. And I have my ear to the streets, and I know everybody. So I was interested because her audience was vouching for her, right? Her community members, her fan base was vouching for her, so it made me curious. And so I looked into her, and we ended up doing a really great piece. So I think that, like what's the point of building community if you're not gonna work together to win, right? Like, your tribe, Kevin Kelly calls it the 1,000 true fans, right? Like, your super fans, they should be riding for you. And you should be articulating what your wish list is, what you're working on, like, and they'll reach out to me. They'll reach out to journalists, they'll plug you, they'll tag you. So that's also one way. Another thing we forgot to mention prior is, yes, you need to know your founder's story. Yes, you need to solve a problem, but you also need to justify why you're the best person to tell this story and solve this problem. So what that could look like, it could look like testimonials, it could look like case studies, it could look like numbers. I've helped X amount of clients achieve X, right? Like, tell me what your track record is, and that's really going to get my attention.
And can I get, and I'll give an example. I'll give an example of that. So even how we've started our relationship, I can't tell you, like, I was amateur at this shit, and I was pitching Pauleanna like, why this girl don't want to, okay, she one of those, so she not going to answer my emails? Then she started answering my emails. wasn't the answer I wanted, but it was the answer that I needed. And one thing I can say and I respected about her, and I think we've have like at least 5 articles at this point together now with my clients. But one thing I can, when she would say no, she would tell me why she would say no and what I needed to do to improve or what I needed to include in my pitch. And so once I started following those guidelines, things started to align. It's very, very important that you pay attention to why someone is saying no and not take it to heart. I use, and Pri is probably going to kill me, but I use Prima Donna for an example. We had reached out to Pauleanna so many times for Prima Donna.
The answer is no.
But timing is everything. Timing is everything. We talk about just staying consistent. We talk about building out the brand. We talk about just continuously growing and building a community and not taking no, for an answer, but building on that no and figuring out how you can come back and get that yes. And so it was Clubhouse. I really had forgot all about pitching Prima Donna because 3 years had went by. After that 10th no, it was like, girl, we just gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to pick out some other shit or go to another Forbes reader because I can't keep on. It's just not happening. But we all collectively built a community on Clubhouse. I was able to allow Prima Donna to speak more and for people to come in and want to listen to her speak. Pauleanna happened to be in the audience one day, and then I think it was like 2 years later, I got an email saying I think it's time to feature Prima Donna, and the timing was right.
Timing is so important because if you don't get it now, you may get it later. Just stay ready. You feel me?
Stay ready.
Stay ready. Let me give you an example of how to stay ready. So, I was in the January 2015 print edition of Essence, and so Essence had. Oh, we're going to talk about context in a second, but Essence did a call on Twitter, and so I replied via email, and I was like, my story, right? And I was thinking to myself, yo, like thousands of people saw this tweet. There's no fucking way, like I'm gonna get selected. So anyways, I got selected. Got a 1/2-page feature. It was bomb. So what happens was, so I then pack my shit. I pack a bag. I fly to New York just to like thank the editor in person because I'm extra and you're always gonna remember me. And so I asked the editor, I'm like, why did you choose me? She's like, yo, out of thousands of people, you're the only person who had their shit together. I literally beat out my competition because I was ready. Like, you know what I mean? My pitch might not have been perfect, but I had my collateral, I had my headshot, I had the da-da-da-da-da. It was an article about vision boards. So I didn't just send the pitch. I sent pictures of vision board parties. I sent videos of vision board parties. I sent I went above and beyond what she needed, and she was like, you made my job easy. Like, so that's the thing. You want to make the journalist's job easy. Like, I should not be chasing you for shit I should already have.
Facts.
Okay, so let's talk about where to find these contacts, right? Like, of course, if you have relationships, like, it's easy. But I want to drop some networks that I think will be very helpful. So Hunter.io is something that has been helpful to me in the past. You can literally figure out like the combination for different emails to different publications. Media Bistro, I told you guys, Twitter is literally every writer is on Twitter. Like some of you cannot afford Phreshy yet, but there's a lot of shit you can do on your own. And
Facts.
Pardon me? Oh, we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that in a second, but. So yeah, Twitter advanced search. If you type in keywords like contributor, deputy editor, senior contributor, writer, casting director, like this is not limited to articles. It's also like casting directors, creative directors for television segments, Good Morning America. If you type in keywords, you will find, like all of us have our email right in our profile. And so you can make a Rolodex on your own without even having to tap into certain professionals, right? Media, where else do you find contacts?
And I was going to say just going, let's say you're looking for a particular contact or, but you can't find the email address. Understanding how a publication's contact system is set up. Sometimes it's first and last name dot the publication. Sometimes it's first initial last name. Understanding how that, a lot of times it's all about guessing and process of elimination. Send multiple emails until because it's going to tell you if it don't work. It's gonna tell you. They're gonna tell you if it don't work. So Twitter, Cision. Haro.
Cision's a PR platform. You got to pay big bucks for that.
I mean,
But there is. So tell them what Cision is.
So Cision is a database. That has every contact imaginable.
But how much you got to pay per year?
Tied to.
It's a lot of money.
No. Okay, so let me tell you a secret. It is very expensive. However, if you are in a community of people who could benefit off of using, if you're in a community of people who could all benefit off of using Cision together, it's very hefty. A year, it's like $4,000 a year.
I think it's more than that.
It's more than that.
More than that.
It's more than that now. When I first started,
you can split it amongst your friends.
You can split it amongst the group, the friends, and y'all all will be able to get a login. I think it's like 10 logins to one. It's 10 logins to one, but it depends on which tier you get. Because sometimes when such and such sign in, the other one is getting signed out.
Cision.
But Cision, I always say Cision. If you want to make it work, Cision is going to forever be the best for me, and you'll figure it out.
I think that one thing that has worked with a lot of my friends is Haro, however you want to say it. Help a reporter out. Like literally the lowest barrier to entry. Like a lot of my peers, they get a lot of their media hits from that platform. And there is a Twitter account, Writers of Color, as well. Like that's a really great Twitter account to find contacts as well, because every publication wants to hear from us, and so they're trying to make an effort to make that happen.
And joining Facebook groups, there's a lot of Facebook groups for entrepreneurs, and a lot of times people like myself, people like Pauleanna, we're in those groups, not in vain. We're in those groups with the hopes of finding a story easier, or for me, finding a client easier, or looking for writers who want to tell certain stories, and I know my client can fit that narrative. So finding Facebook groups that align with your intentions, I think that's always a good place. That's always a good place to start too.
Earlier I said creating a content library of your own, and what I also mean by that is if you could be a regular contributor somewhere, like I know a few faces in the audience that regularly contribute to like Entrepreneur or Thrive, that also positions your brand very, very well. And also telling your stories on your platforms, right? Like don't wait until you pitch. Like there should be I should be able to see a track record of how you deliver, how you storytell, content that positions your brands. I'll give you an example. So on my IG stories, like a week and a half ago, I talked about my money story, and I'm very open about my finances and shit. And so when I was 30 years old, I was in $52,000 of debt, and I paid that shit off like ASAP. And so I broke down how I did that, and an Essence editor was watching, and I just finished my interview a few days ago, right? She reached out to me because she's like, yo, I love that story, let's build on it. So you never know who's watching, what power they hold, right? You should never just limit your story to a pitch to a journalist.
Correct.
Let's talk about the formatting of a pitch. So now you know the contact, you know where to find it, you know the publication, your wish list, all the things. But now, what does the pitch even look like? Listen to me. Do not write me a 1,000-word pitch. Like, that shit's going in the folder. I can't. Like, I want something that's brief and to the point. I want you to bold and highlight certain items where you want my eyes to pay attention. I want all the attachments there. I want the links to work. Don't call me honey, love, mommy. Like, my name is Pauleanna. Like, don't address me as anything other than that. Spell my name right. Someone followed up with me 3 times and spelled my name wrong 3 times. And it's okay to follow up. Journalists get a lot of pitches, like hundreds, right? And so, honestly, the first time you pitch me, it's probably going to get lost in the black hole. But I appreciate a follow-up. I appreciate you bringing it to the top of my inbox, because like I'll probably look at it the second or third time. What else do you think?
Just like you said, straight to the point. You got to think about it. Journalists get tons and tons of emails. They probably have about 2 to 3 minutes at the most to check your email. Time is of essence, so make sure you are short, sweet, and straight to the point. Have your photos attached. Don't have a million attached. Choose the best 2 headshots you have. Don't send me your whole Instagram or not me, because I'm not a journalist. But don't send your whole Instagram profile. Make sure that the attachments in which you're attaching match the story in which you're pitching. A lot of times people are putting their whole bio and emails when in the pitch when that pitch don't require your whole bio. Keep it sweet and straight to the point.
So I want to talk about the pay to play. Oh, Lord.
I hate it.
Bro, okay, listen. I've been bribed with trips around the world, thousands of dollars. Like, you'd be so surprised how desperate people are to get their name in lights, right? And so that shit does not woo me. I operate with integrity. A lot of journalists may not, but I do, and I stand behind every story that I write. So please don't participate in a pay-to-play. Like, I would like to think that you earned your spot in a publication and not paid for it, because that says a lot about who you are, too.
And people can tell when you've paid to play. People can tell when you paid to play.
Right.
As a publicist, I can't tell you how many times people come and say, well, I've been featured here.
And their brand is whack as fuck.
And the brand is whack. There's no brand value, and you are being featured in Women of Excellence, and you're a whole man. Bro, I know you bought
so
that.
Extra.
It don't. Why are you in Forbes India and Forbes, not Forbes US, Fox 5 Pennsylvania, and you stay in Connecticut? Bro, what is going on? So like, I promise you, there's so many times we can tell, and it just doesn't add up. And it's so much harder to fix your brand as a publicist when you've paid to play, because now you have no integrity. And brands know you have no integrity. And then now when I'm pitching you and I have to send those links and what you paid to play over, now people are always going to want to charge you, and it waters down the integrity of this business. Earn your spot. It feels so much better. And all of the money that you spent to pay to play, you could have just paid a publicist and got it the right way. And guess what? Your audience is going to grow in authenticity, and authenticity beats anything in this world.
Talking about investing, having a publicist is an investment. We also talk about the fact that it's a luxury.
It's a luxury.
It's not a necessity. So a lot of the things we talked about today, like, you can get your, like, I've done over 150 media placements, okay, without a publicist. There's a lot of shit you can do on your own. However, when you get to a point where maybe you can't handle it, then you hire someone like Phreshy, and Phreshy, you can tell them a ballpark of what they should be preparing for.
So I'll just tell y'all like this, and you can pull out the Google, and Google is going to match this. The average price per PR, if you go to a predominantly white PR firm, it's anywhere from $15,000 to, it can go up to $75,000 a month for PR. That's a big firm. I'm a small boutique firm. I'm a young black man that's trying to make it in the world. So, I'm just gotta do what I could do. And so the average price for my retainers...
And it also depends on the scope of work.
And the scope of work, too.
Let's preface it with that, because some people want to invest $500 a month and want the world, right? So you got to be realistic.
Ain't no such thing as a $500.
You know what I mean? I'm being extra.
If any publicists tell you they can do anything for you for $500, please...
I was being extra.
No, because people think that you want to see my inbox. People think that. And is there somebody out here that's saying, oh, I could do this for you for $500. If anyone tell you they could do anything for you for $500, run the opposite way, because you wouldn't move for $500. I tell people my shoes are at least $1,200 every time you see me. So please understand that you're definitely going to pay. You're definitely going to pay over here. But average price for boutique PR firms in which I have could be anywhere from $3,500 to $20,000 a month. My average price is anywhere from $7,500 to $35,000 a month.
And you usually work on a minimum, like 6 months minimum.
And I usually work on, I've actually went down. So since the pandemic, I've worked on the 3-month minimum, because I feel like I'm just that nigga now. And, in 3 months, I can make some shit shake. But that's me. In PR, in the real world, and any publisher to tell you, you need at least 6 months to see any type of consistent results.
Yes,
so
it's a long game.
It's a long game. You shouldn't be, PR is a marathon. You should not be ready to run to the finish line. And again, timing is everything. So a lot of y'all come in and want to hire publicists, and immediately y'all want to go to Forbes and Business Insider and Black Enterprise, but no.
Once you get those, then what?
Then what? Then what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So it's all about the marathon. It's all about continuously telling your story. It's all about the graduate growth. And just like high school, I always go back to high school. I always go back to college. I always go back to just grade school in general. You can't go to second grade without first grade. You can't go to second grade without first grade. So just do the work. Understand that this is a luxury service. I promise you, anything that you invest in, when you invest in yourself and you take time within yourself and you invest, you're gonna see the fruits of your labor. You're gonna see the fruits of your labor. So just invest and understand that this is a luxury service. There are a lot of benefits to having a publicist, but you do also have to do the work. You're not gonna hire me. I don't care how much money you pay me, and magic is gonna happen. No, you have to do the work. If you're not creating a story or creating a story, I have nothing to narrate. If you are not putting in the work, what am I supposed to do?
There's nothing to tell.
There's nothing to tell. There's nothing to tell. So you're not gonna pay me and think tomorrow your life is gonna change. That's just not how it works.
The end. So thank you so much, Phreshy. I love you so much. You're my
I love
brother.
you too.
Honestly, everything aside, relationship, like Phreshy can, because we've established a relationship, he can just call me and be like, hey, what do you think of this story? When you are networking, please prioritize media professionals. Like, if you have them in the bag, it'll make your life so much easier. A lot of my peers, a lot of my friends can call me up and be like, hey, what do you think of this? Before they send the pitch, before they organize all the content, Pauleanna, what do you think of this story idea? Is this something you would consider? And then we go from there.
I agree. Relationships are everything, because there's a lot of people who I know that cannot afford me, but we have great relationships. And so it's nothing for me to leverage them on one of my other clients. Now, don't get crazy, because once I start feeling like there's a bill, you're going to get an invoice. But I will take care of people who have taken care of me. You will be able to, I'm all about relationships. And again, I'm all about doing the right thing as long as it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah. How much time we got? Few minutes? Like 2 minutes? Does anyone have one or
That's
two
enough
questions?
for a
Quick
question.
questions, quick. Okay, yellow. Well, you asked your question already, sir. Beautiful blue dress and white blouse. Stand up, tell us who you are, take up space.
Hi.
I've been told by a publicist that the name of my brand creates a glass ceiling for me. It's get rich or get drunk trying. So I just wanted to know from
Oh, that's a great question.
experience that or have any advice.
So I think, especially when you're getting advice from publicists, understanding what that publicist's niche is. I won't tell you that that's a glass ceiling for your brand, because that's just not my niche. And so who am I to say that that won't work? I believe anything that you want to work, and if there was a reason behind it, it can work. But can you explain it in 30 seconds? Can you pitch that in 30 seconds? That's what you want to think about. So if that can't be done, then yes, there is a glass ceiling. However, if you have all of the collateral to make your name work, by all means, make your name work.
Cool. Yes.
Hi, my name is Talise Reeves. If y'all follow on Instagram, it's TLETA. I'm a model from Cleveland, Ohio. I've been modeling 10 plus years, and I created an organization in college where we do parties, model, and give back to the community. What I'm asking is, what would be some next steps to making that on a larger scale, from college to real life and real people who are trying to make themselves out here as models or as hosts for
Is
parties?
this a business question or a PR question? What is the problem you're solving?
The problem I'm solving is getting women who want to be models or in the entertainment field out there, because it's led by men mostly, but having that room for women.
So do you have a manager? Do you have an agent? Do you have a marketing person? I would start with all of those, because before I could tell your story, there has to be a story built and there has to be a brand built. So although you have the skeleton of the brand, where's the heartbeat, where's the momentum, where's the push of that brand? So definitely get you someone, and you don't have to go get like the best manager in the world. Start parallel to where you are. You are a beginning business, and so go get someone who is parallel to where you are in your success, and then start thinking about PR, because again, it's a luxury service, and if you're expecting me to tell a story that you haven't fully developed yet, then you're going to be disappointed, and I don't like disappointing people.
Yeah, like I think as a journalist, I'd want to know case studies. I'd want to know how you're helping these women, and I also want to know the why. Like, why does your company exist? And like doubling down on that. If you start your pitch with like a really interesting statistic or research, that also backs what you're pitching, and that helps me frame the story as well. Cool. Thank you so much. I love you.
Thank you. I love you too.
All right.
Now let's go get drunk.
I hope that was helpful.
And thank y'all, because none of this would be possible if y'all wasn't in the audience. You know, it would. When I walked in and I saw 5 people, I was like, oh shit.